The sun beat down on Dr. Alan Myers as he brushed dust from the strange stone tablet. After 20 years of digging in ancient ruins, he had never seen anything like this. The symbols weren't Egyptian, Sumerian, or any known ancient language. They seemed older, much older. "Professor, you need to see this," called his assistant from the other side of the excavation pit. Alan walked carefully across the Atacama Desert dig site, the driest place on Earth, perfect for preserving artifacts. The team had been working here for months after satellite images showed unusual formations beneath the sand. "What have you found?" Alan asked, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Another tablet, sir. But this one has images." The stone tablet showed crude drawings of stars, planets, and what looked like humanoid figures standing guard over a cage or prison. At the center of the prison was a dark mass with tendrils reaching outward. Something about it made Alan's skin crawl. "How old do you think these are?" asked the assistant. Alan shook his head. "The dating test will tell us, but these were buried beneath layers that are at least 50,000 years old. That's impossible by conventional history." Back at the research tent, Alan photographed the tablets and sent the images to his colleague at MIT. Within hours, his phone rang. "Alan, these match symbols found in caves across 6 continents. All previously undated or considered hoaxes because they didn't fit the timeline, all with the same warning." "Warning? What warning?" "Earth is not just our home. It's a prison. It guards something beneath." That night, as Alan worked late in his tent, the radio crackled with emergency broadcasts. Strange lights had appeared in the sky worldwide. Within hours, the news was confirmed. Alien ships had entered Earth's orbit. 3 days later, Alan found himself in a hastily organized meeting at the United Nations. The aliens called themselves the Galactic Confederation. They looked almost human, tall and elegant with silver blue skin. They spoke of peace and offering Earth membership in their community of worlds. Lieutenant Susan Gray of NASA's First Contact Division sat next to Alan. She leaned over and whispered, "Do you notice how they keep asking about our geological surveys?" Alan nodded. He had noticed this too. The aliens seemed oddly interested in Earth's deep crust research and ancient archaeological sites. "There's something else," Susan continued. "Their language. Some of their words match phonetic patterns we've been trying to decipher from ancient texts." The alien commander, Zixtara, approached them during the reception. Tall and imposing, he wore ceremonial robes with symbols along the edges. "Dr. Myers, your work in the Atacama is impressive," he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "We have great interest in prehistory studies." "Thank you," Alan replied cautiously. "How did you know about my dig?" "We have been monitoring your broadcasts for some time. Your species is quite fascinating." After Zixtara moved on, Susan grabbed Alan's arm. "Those symbols on his robe, did you see them?" Alan nodded, his mouth dry. "They match the tablets we found last week." That night, Alan and Susan met secretly in her office at NASA. She showed him computer models of the alien ship's movements. "They're scanning the planet in a grid pattern, focused on these points." She pointed to a map with dozens of locations marked. Alan pulled out his research notes. "These match the coordinates from the translated tablets, all places where ancient texts warned not to dig deep." Susan pulled up another file on her computer. "I had a friend translate more of your tablet symbols. This one repeats often." She pointed to a curved symbol. "What does it mean?" "The closest translation is warden or guardian. And this one," she pointed to another symbol, "means the buried ones." They looked at each other as understanding dawned. The aliens hadn't come to welcome Earth to the galactic community. They were looking for something the ancient tablets warned should stay buried. Outside, people celebrated worldwide, marveling at humanity's first contact with alien life. They didn't know that in a quiet office, 2 people had just discovered a terrible truth. Earth wasn't just our home. It was a prison, and something wanted out. 6 months passed since the aliens arrived. Earth had changed quickly. The Confederation shared new technology that made phones faster, cars cleaner, and even helped sick people get better. Most people loved the aliens. They seemed kind and helpful. But Colonel Jack Harper didn't trust them. As head of United Earth Defense, a new military group formed after the aliens came. He watched them closely. Today he stood in his office looking at a map covered with red dots. "Another dig site in Russia," he said to Susan and Alan, who sat across from his desk. "That makes 23 locations worldwide." Susan pointed to the map, all matching the coordinates from the ancient tablets. "What are they looking for?" Jack asked. Alan spread photos across the desk. "These are from the Siberian site. The aliens call it a cultural exchange project, but look at the equipment." The photos showed massive drilling machines and strange devices that glowed blue. "That's not archaeological equipment," Susan said. "They're digging deep, much deeper than any normal dig would go." Jack's phone buzzed. "Harper here," he answered. He listened, his face growing serious. "When? Are you sure? Send me the data." He hung up. "We have a problem. There was a 6.2 earthquake in Peru this morning, near one of their dig sites." Alan looked concerned. "That's the 4th earthquake near their excavations this month." The door opened and Maria Rodriguez walked in. She was a geophysicist who worked with Jack's team. "You need to see this," she said, putting her laptop on the desk. "I've been tracking energy readings from the Earth's core. They spike whenever Confederation ships pass overhead." They gathered around the screen. Lines and numbers filled it, with large spikes marked in red. "What does this mean?" Jack asked. "Something in Earth's core responds to their ships," Maria explained. "Like they're communicating." Susan looked at Alan. "The buried ones. What if they're real?" Alan nodded slowly. "And what if the Confederation isn't here to help us? What if they're here to release whatever is buried?" Jack stood up straight. "We need proof. Something to take to the president." That night, the 4 of them drove to the Siberian wilderness. Snow fell as they parked their truck behind thick trees, half a mile from the alien dig site. They wore white winter gear to blend with the snow. "Security seems light," Jack whispered as they watched the site through binoculars. "Most people think they're friendly," Susan said. "Why would they need heavy guards?" They waited until a shift change, then moved quickly across the open ground to a side entrance. Alan used an ID card they had copied from a scientist who worked with the aliens. Inside, the facility looked like a normal research building with bright lights and white walls. But as they went deeper, it changed. The walls turned to metal, with strange symbols like those on the ancient tablets. "This isn't their technology," Alan whispered. "These are the same designs from the tablets. This place is old." They reached a viewing area that overlooked a massive hole in the ground. Alien. Machines drilled deeper and deeper. At the edges of the hole, they saw carved stone walls with more symbols. "They found something," Susan said. "An ancient structure." Maria pulled out a device and took readings. "The energy levels here are off the charts." Suddenly, alarms blared. A voice spoke in the alien language, then in English. "Security breach, all personnel to Section 4. "They've spotted us," Jack said. "We need to move." They turned to run, but stopped when they saw Zixtara standing in the doorway. "Curious. Humans," he said, his voice cold. "Always digging where you shouldn't, like you're doing," Susan challenged. Zixtara smiled. "We aren't digging. We're freeing. The buried ones will reward us when they awaken." Jack pulled his gun. "Run!" he shouted to the others. As they fled through the facility, the ground shook. Beneath them, another earthquake. Pipes burst and steam filled the hallways. They barely made it outside, and to their truck as the facility behind them partially collapsed. As they drove away, Susan looked back at the alien site. "Now we know," she said. "They're not here to help us." "No," Alan agreed. "They're here to end us, and we're the only ones who know." Alan stared at the blood test results on the screen. Next to him, Dr. William Bennett pointed to the strange patterns in the DNA chart. "I've never seen anything like this," William said. "These genetic markers aren't normal human DNA." They were In William's secret lab, hidden under an old farmhouse. After escaping the alien dig site, Alan's team needed a safe place to work. William, an old friend and top geneticist, had offered his help. "What did the markers do?" Susan asked. She sat nearby watching them work. "They seem inactive most of the time," William explained. "But when exposed to certain energy patterns like those Maria recorded at the dig site, they activate." Jack paced the room. "So the aliens can track people with these markers?" "I think it's the opposite," Alan said. "The tablets called them guardian bloodlines. I think these people can sense the aliens, or whatever is buried inside Earth." The door opened and Maria rushed in with her laptop. "You need to see this. Strange reports are coming in worldwide." She showed them videos from news sites. A woman in Brazil lifted a car to save a child. A man in Japan claimed he could hear thoughts. A group of teenagers in Kenya all walked exactly the same direction for miles until they reached an ancient rock formation. "It's happening everywhere," Maria said. "People developing strange abilities." William looked concerned. "The Confederation is publicly praising these people, calling them specially evolved humans, and inviting them for honorary citizenship ceremonies on their ships. But they never come back," Susan added. William turned to Susan. "I need to check your blood too. The way you sensed something wrong with the aliens from the start. It might be connected." Susan rolled up her sleeve. William took her blood sample and ran it through his machine. Minutes later, the results appeared. "You have the markers," William confirmed. "Stronger than any I've seen before." A loud crash came from outside. They ran to the window and saw a Confederation shuttle landing in the field. Soldiers in sleek armor poured out. "They found us," Jack said, grabbing his gun. "No," Susan said, her eyes wide. "They found me." She pointed to a tablet on the table showing a newsfeed. Her picture was there, listed as a special human invited for citizenship honors. "We need to leave. Now," Alan said. They rushed to the back exit. As they reached the door, it burst open. But instead of alien soldiers, a man stood there. He wore dirty clothes and had cuts on his face. "Are you the ones fighting them?" he asked, breathing hard. "Who are you?" Jack demanded, pointing his gun. "Daniel Kelly, ex-Army Ranger. They tried to take me 3 days ago when I stopped them from digging. In the mountains." "Stopped them how?" Maria asked. Daniel held out his hand toward a metal table. The table shook, then lifted into the air. "Something happened to me last month. I can move things, feel things in the earth. When they started digging near my home in the Appalachians, I just knew I had to stop them." William scanned him with a small device. "He has the markers too, very active ones." More crashes came from outside. The alien soldiers were getting closer. "There's a tunnel under the lab," William said. "It leads to an old bunker 2 miles away." As they hurried into the tunnel, Susan stopped suddenly, holding her head. "What's wrong?" Alan asked. "I can feel them," she whispered. "Not just the aliens, the things beneath us. They're ancient, they're hungry, and they're waking up." Daniel nodded. "I feel them too, like dark spots under the earth." "The buried ones," Alan said. "The tablets were right." Jack looked at Susan and Daniel. "If there are more people like you with these abilities, we need to find them before the aliens do." "The guardian bloodlines," Alan agreed. "Maybe they're humanity's natural defense. Maybe that's why Earth was chosen as a prison in the first place." They moved deeper into the tunnel as the sound of alien weapons fired above. The hunt had begun. But now, they had a plan. Find the Guardians, awaken their powers, and somehow stop the Confederation from freeing what lay beneath. The old military bunker became their new home. 30 feet underground, its thick concrete walls kept them hidden from alien scanners. Jack had stocked it with food, water, and equipment over the past month, sensing they might need a safe place. Alan pinned maps on the wall, marking spots where people with special abilities had been reported. Susan and Daniel sat at a table nearby, practicing with their growing powers. Try again, Susan said to Daniel. Daniel closed his eyes and placed his hands on the metal ball in front of him. The ball slowly rose into the air, then spun in circles. Good, Susan said. Now feel what's under us, reach deeper. Daniel's face tensed with effort. I can sense the rock layers. There's something else too, like energy lines running through the earth. Ley lines, Alan said, looking up from his maps. Ancient cultures marked them as paths of power. Maria entered the room carrying a laptop. I found another one, she said. A teenage girl in Ohio. Her whole town reported hearing her thoughts during a school play. The Confederation ships arrived an hour ago. We need to move fast, Jack said, checking his weapons. William, is the blocker ready? William held up a small device. This should mask Guardian energy signatures for about 6 hours. Enough time to get her out. That night, Jack and Daniel drove to the small Ohio town. They parked a block from the girl's house, where 2 alien guards stood watch. Daniel closed his eyes and focused. The ground trembled, then cracked open under the aliens' feet. They fell into the hole, shouting in surprise. Jack and Daniel rushed to the house and knocked on the door. A scared woman opened it. We're here to help your daughter, Jack said quietly. Lisa Chen, Daniel added. We know what she can do. The aliens will take her if she stays. The woman's eyes widened. How did you know her name? I can hear your thoughts, a young voice said. A teenage girl stepped into view. Just like I can hear theirs. They're telling the truth, Mom. The aliens want to use me to find something. 20 minutes later, they drove away with Lisa in the back seat. Jack looked in the mirror and saw Confederation ships appearing above the town. They're getting faster, he said. We barely got her out in time. Back at the bunker, Lisa met the others. When she saw Susan, the girl gasped. You're like me, but stronger, Lisa said. I can feel it. Susan nodded. We all have different abilities. Daniel can move things and feel the earth. I can sense the aliens and other things. What about me? Lisa asked. Why do they want me? Your telepathy might be just the beginning, William said. We need to run some tests. That night, as the others slept, Lisa screamed. Everyone rushed to her room. The girl sat upright in bed, her eyes wide open but seeing nothing. They were here. Before, she said in a strange, flat voice. The Guardians. Our ancestors. They were made to be wardens. Lisa? Susan touched the girl's shoulder. I can see it, Lisa continued. The memory is in our blood. Billions of years ago. A war across the stars. The buried ones consumed worlds. Nothing could stop them until they were trapped here. Who trapped them? Alan asked. The Makers. They created us from primitive life to be watchers. Guardians with the power to fight back if the buried ones ever broke free. Lisa blinked and seemed to return to normal. What happened? A genetic memory, William said in awe. The markers don't just give powers. They hold memories passed down from the first Guardians. The Confederation knows this, Susan realized. That's why they're taking people with abilities. They're looking for information. A secure phone rang. Jack answered. His face showed surprise. It's the president, he said. President Warren wants to meet us. It could be a trap, Maria warned. Maybe, Jack agreed. But she says she has proof of what the Confederation is really doing here. And she wants to help us fight back. The meeting with President Warren took place in an underground room beneath the White House. Secret Service agents checked everyone carefully before letting them in. President Warren, a tall woman with short gray hair, waited for them at a long table. Thank you for coming, she said. I've been watching the Confederation closely. I pretend to work with them, but I don't trust them. Neither do we, Jack said. We have proof they're looking for something buried in Earth. President Warren nodded. My scientists found something too. She showed them photos of strange energy, readings. These appear at every dig site. Whatever they're looking for, it's waking up. We need to protect people with Guardian abilities, Susan said. The Confederation is hunting them. I can help, President Warren said. I'll create safe places across the country, listed as meditation retreats. You can use them to find and train guardians. 1 month later, 6 guardian sanctuaries opened across America. From the outside, they looked like peaceful retreat centers. Inside, people with special abilities learned to use their powers. Susan and Daniel became the main teachers. Susan could now sense the buried ones clearly, feeling their dark energy, deep beneath the earth. Daniel could shape stone and metal with his mind, creating shields and weapons from the earth itself. At the main sanctuary in Colorado, Alan studied ancient texts with Maria. They discovered that Earth had a network of old structures built on energy lines. When activated, these structures created a cage that kept the buried ones trapped. These sites form a grid, Maria explained, showing a world map with points connected by lines. The ancient builders knew what they were doing. The Confederation is destroying these sites, Alan said. We need to activate the ones that are left. William ran tests on new guardians arriving at the sanctuary. The more we train them, the stronger their abilities become, he told the others. It's like their DNA is waiting to be switched on. Lisa's powers grew the fastest. She could now connect minds, letting guardians share thoughts and memories. One evening, she connected with Susan and shared a vision. I can see a site in Egypt, Lisa said. It's important, a major node in the grid. The Valley of Kings, Susan replied, seeing the same vision. The Confederation doesn't know about it yet. Jack organized a team to go to Egypt. Susan, Daniel, and 6 other trained guardians flew there on a military plane. They traveled secretly, using William's blocking devices to hide their energy signatures. In the Valley of Kings, they found an unmarked tomb hidden behind a wall of rocks. Inside was a large stone chamber with a round platform in the center. This is it, Susan said. A node in the containment grid. As they prepared to activate it, the air shimmered. Admiral Kelvoran appeared with 4 Confederation soldiers. We've been waiting for you, the Admiral said. His human-like appearance flickered, showing glimpses of a tall, thin being made of shifting energy. You're not even solid, Daniel said in shock. We are the faithful, Kelvoran replied. Servants of the buried ones for countless generations, they share small pieces of their power with us. You worship them, Susan realized. You think they'll make you gods. Kelvoran smiled. They will remake the universe once free. We will stand beside them as their chosen. They'll destroy you, Susan said, just like they destroy everything. Kelvoran raised his hand, shooting energy at them. Daniel raised a wall of stone from the ground to block it. The fight began. While the others battled the aliens, Susan ran to the center platform. She placed her hands on it and channeled her energy into the node. The stones beneath her feet began to glow with blue light. Kelvoran screamed in anger. The node activated fully, sending a pulse of energy through the earth. The Confederation soldiers fell back in pain. This isn't over, Kelvoran snarled before disappearing. 3 guardians died in the fight, but the node was active. Back at the sanctuary, Lisa connected with the awakened node and received new information. I can see it all now, she told the others. The complete defense system. I know how to activate it fully. On screens around the world, Admiral Kelvoran appeared with a message. Surrender your guardians or face planetary cleansing. You have 1 week to decide. Governments around the world prepared for war. Fighter jets patrolled the skies. Missile systems stood ready. But everyone knew Earth's weapons were no match for the Confederation fleet that now filled the sky. At the main sanctuary, Alan studied the information Lisa had received from the Egyptian node. The defense system needs a central activation point, he told the others. Something called the Keystone. Where is it? Jack asked. Antarctica, Lisa said. Hidden under the ice. But that's not all. She looked worried. To activate it fully requires a guardian to bond with it. To become part of the system. Susan looked at her hands. What does that mean exactly? No one answered. They all understood. It was a one-way trip. General Eric Porter entered the room. He was President Warren's top military advisor and had been helping coordinate their efforts. We've located the Confederation's main dig site, he said, showing them satellite images of the Pacific Ocean. They're drilling at the Mariana Trench, the deepest part of the ocean. That's where the primary seal is, Lisa said. The first lock on the prison. How long before they break through? Jack asked. 2 days, maybe less, Porter replied. As they made plans to reach Antarctica, William worked in his lab nearby. He didn't notice Porter watching him through the window. Later that night, Porter made a secret call on a device that wasn't human technology. I know where they're going, he said quietly. Antarctica. The Keystone is there. The next morning, as the team prepared to leave, Confederation ships appeared overhead. Explosions rocked the sanctuary as alien weapons fired from above. They found us, Jack yelled, grabbing his gun. Everyone to the emergency exits. Guards ran to defensive positions. Trained guardians used their abilities to protect others. But the attack was too sudden, too well planned. They knew exactly where we were, Susan said as they ran through underground tunnels. How? A terrible thought struck Alan. Porter, he's been meeting with President Warren alone for weeks. What if they got to him? They reached the vehicle bay, where armored trucks waited. As they climbed in, Porter appeared with armed soldiers. I'm sorry, he said, not sounding sorry at all, but they promised me power in the new world. There won't be a new world, Susan said. The buried ones will destroy everything. Porter smiled. That's not what Admiral Kelvaran told me. The soldiers opened fire. Daniel raised a wall of metal from the floor to block the bullets. Susan pushed with her mind, knocking Porter and his men backward. Go, Jack shouted to Susan, Daniel, and Lisa. Get to Antarctica, we'll hold them off. Alan and William nodded. We'll stay and fight too. Susan wanted to argue but knew they were right. The Keystone was all that mattered now. As Susan, Daniel, and Lisa escaped in one truck, alien soldiers captured Alan and William. They were brought to a Confederation ship where Admiral Kelvaran waited. Dr. Myers, the Admiral said. Finally, we meet properly. What do you want from us? Alan asked. Information, Kelvaran replied. About the Keystone. I'll tell you nothing, Alan said. The Admiral smiled. You won't have a choice. Meanwhile, Susan drove the truck to a hidden airfield where President Warren had a plane waiting. As they boarded, Susan looked at the young girl beside her. Lisa, are you sure about the Keystone location? Lisa nodded. I can feel it calling, to me. All Guardians can. That's why the Confederation took so many of us. They were looking for this information. Daniel stared out the window at the Confederation ships battling Earth's forces in the distance. We're running out of time, he said. The buried ones are waking up. I can feel them stirring. Susan felt it too, a dark pressure growing beneath them. Ancient. Hungry. Ready to break free after billions of years. Then we'd better hurry, she said, as the plane took off toward Antarctica. Because if the Keystone isn't activated before they break the main seal. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. They all knew what was at stake. Not just Earth, but everything. On the Confederation ship, Alan and William were strapped to metal chairs. Strange devices attached to their heads sent painful energy into their minds. The Keystone, Kelvaran demanded. Where is it exactly? Alan fought against the pain. I don't know. You're lying, Kelvaran said. The girl told you. William looked at Alan with tired eyes. They had been questioned for hours. Even if we knew, William said, we wouldn't tell you. Kelvaran stepped closer. His body flickered between human form and something else, a being of pure energy. Let me show you what the buried ones truly are, he said. Then you will understand why we serve them. He placed his hands on their heads. Visions filled their minds. A universe before our own. Beings of energy that lived among the stars. A war that destroyed everything. And a new universe born from the ashes. They are the last, survivors of the universe that came before. Kelvaran explained. They existed before time as we know it. They have power beyond imagination. Alan struggled to speak. If they're so powerful, why are they trapped? When our universe formed, they were caught in the creation. The makers, a race long gone, built prisons to hold them. Earth is the last prison still intact. And you want to free them? William asked. They'll destroy everything. Kelveran smiled. They will remake it. Better. Those who help them will become like gods. A loud explosion rocked the ship. Alarms blared. A voice spoke over the speakers in an alien language. What's happening? Kelveran demanded. A soldier rushed in. Earth forces attacking, Admiral. They have new weapons that can damage our shields. Kelveran looked furious. Continue the dig at the Mariana Trench. We break the seal in 24 hours, with or without the keystone. As he left, more explosions hit the ship. The power flickered. The restraints on Alan and William loosened. Now's our chance, Alan whispered. They freed themselves and ran through the damaged ship. At a window, they saw Earth fighter jets using strange new weapons that glowed blue, technology clearly influenced by Guardian energy. In a docking bay, they found a small shuttle and managed to start it. As the ship's doors opened, they flew out into the battle. Meanwhile, in Antarctica, Susan, Daniel, and Lisa trekked across the frozen landscape. Wind howled around them as they followed Lisa's mental connection to the keystone. There, Lisa pointed to a crack in a glacier. The entrance. They entered the ice tunnel that sloped deep into the earth. After walking for an hour, they reached a massive door covered in the same symbols Alan had found on the ancient tablets. How do we open it? Daniel asked. Susan stepped forward and placed her hand on the door. With Guardian energy. She closed her eyes and focused. Her hand glowed blue. Slowly, the huge door slid open, revealing a vast chamber carved from stone and metal. In the center stood a crystal column that reached from floor to ceiling, pulsing with blue light. The keystone, Lisa whispered. Susan approached it slowly. I can feel it calling to me. Wait, Daniel said, remember what Lisa told us. Activating it requires a guardian to bond with it, to become part of the system. I know, Susan said quietly. I've known since Egypt that it would be me. Lisa looked at her with sad eyes. You won't survive it. Your physical form will dissolve. Your consciousness will join the ancient guardians who built this system. Is there no other way? Daniel asked. Before anyone could answer, the wall behind them exploded. Admiral Kelveran stepped through the dust, his body now fully revealed, as a being of shifting energy contained in a vaguely humanoid shape. Thank you for leading us to the keystone, he said. Behind him came more Confederation soldiers holding Alan and William as prisoners. They had been recaptured during their escape attempt. I'm sorry, Alan said to Susan. They followed our shuttle. Susan looked at the keystone, then at her friends, then at the advancing admiral. She knew what she had to do. Susan looked at her friends, then at Admiral Kelveran. She had only seconds to decide. Daniel, she whispered. Can you feel the ice above us? Daniel nodded slightly, understanding her plan. He closed his eyes for a moment, connecting with the frozen mass above. Susan faced Kelveran. You don't understand what you're doing. The buried ones won't reward you. They'll consume you. You know nothing of their power, Kelveran said, moving closer. Now, Susan shouted. Daniel thrust his hands upward. The ceiling cracked. Massive chunks of ice fell, separating the humans from the aliens. In the confusion, Jack appeared from behind a column, firing a weapon that stunned the soldiers. He had followed the Confederation ships to Antarctica in a stealth plane. Go, Jack yelled as he freed Alan and William. I'll hold them off. Susan ran to the keystone while the others fought. She placed her hands on the crystal column. It glowed brighter, responding to her touch. Susan, wait, Daniel called. There must be another way. There isn't, she replied calmly. I've seen it in the visions. This is what guardians were made for. Lisa stepped forward. The keystone needs a guardian consciousness to direct its power, to become part of Earth's defense. Behind them, the view, Ice wall shattered as Kelvaran pushed through, his energy form blazing with anger. "Stop her," he commanded. Susan pressed her palms firmly against the crystal. "Take care of Earth," she said to her friends. "This isn't the end, it's just the beginning." Blue light flowed from the keystone into her body. Her form began to glow and become transparent. The light spread through her veins, her skin, her eyes. No. Kelvaran lunged forward, but it was too late. Susan's physical body dissolved into pure energy, flowing into the keystone. The crystal column pulsed once, twice, and then sent a blinding light upward through the ice to the sky. Around the world, the remaining nodes of the ancient grid activated. Blue energy lines connected them, forming a web around the planet. At the Mariana Trench, the Confederation drilling machines exploded as the energy reached them. Kelvaran screamed in rage. His energy form destabilized as the keystone's power filled the chamber. "This changes nothing. The buried ones are already stirring. You've only delayed the inevitable." The Admiral and his forces retreated as the chamber began to collapse. Jack, Daniel, Lisa, Alan, and William escaped through an ancient tunnel that led them to the surface. From the ice shelf, they watched as blue light spread across the sky in a beautiful web. Confederation ships fled Earth's orbit, their systems damaged by the energy pulse. 1 year later, the team stood in a new building constructed over the Antarctic Keystone site. Now a memorial and command center, it housed the headquarters of the Terran Guardian Corps. Guardian training centers are operating on every continent, Jack reported. William's tests show 30% of humans carry the Guardian genes. More are awakening every month. Alan nodded. "We're documenting everything, the true history of humanity as cosmic wardens." Daniel stared at the keystone, now encased in protective glass, but still glowing. Sometimes when he was alone, he could feel Susan's presence within it. "She's still here," Lisa said, sensing his thoughts. "Her consciousness became part of the defense system. She watches over us." President Warren spoke to them through a video screen. "The remaining Confederation forces have retreated beyond our solar system, but our new space fleet is ready, built with their own technology that we captured." "They'll be back," Jack said. "Kelvaran escaped, and the buried ones are still down there," Daniel added. "I can feel them stirring sometimes." "But now we're ready," Lisa said with confidence. "We know what we are, what we were made to be." A technician rushed in. "We're picking up a signal from a star system 80 light years away. It's like the distress calls our guardians send." The team looked at each other. "Other worlds with guardians? Other prisons?" Daniel stood up. "Susan told us this was just the beginning. Humanity wasn't meant to just protect Earth. We were meant to protect everything," Lisa finished. Outside, thousands of new guardians trained, their powers growing stronger each day. Earth had awakened to its true purpose. Not just a home for humanity, but a fortress world, guarding secrets buried since the dawn of time. And now, humanity had a new mission among the stars.